Hey guys, it's Scott Bars here, the self-proclaimed hip-hop historian, and this is the 402nd episode of my series, where I grab a vinyl from my collection, talk about why I love it, what influence it has, and what its place is in the grand scheme of hip-hop. So today we get to discuss a killer debut from a highly skilled MC who's actually a fresh face to the channel, that being Cormega, a talented New York rapper who's probably best known for his work in The Firm, a supergroup of sorts that consisted of AZ, Nas, Mega, and Foxy Brown. Though he was famously replaced with fellow Queensbridge rapper Nature prior to the release of The Firm's debut LP titled The Album, which, despite a boost from some Dr. Dre production, still ended up being a flop, with many people largely pointing to Cormega's absence as part of the reason. This would be a key catalyst in the beef between Nas and Mega, with the two going back and forth in interviews, which was amplified when Nas dissed him by name on the Stillmatic album. And while I don't believe Cormega responded on his insanely underrated sophomore LP, 2002's The True Meaning, he would fire back in an extremely unique way on his 2005 project The Testament, where on a track slyly titled One Love, Mega references the original Illmatic song in which Nas had famously shouted him out. And he very creatively uses that as a base, then writes this diss track as a response letter of sorts. That gives us some more unknown history on the background these two MCs shared. Luckily, they would eventually patch things up, as on the Realness 2, the long-awaited sequel to this thing that dropped just a few years back, Nas was included as a featured artist on one of the songs, though as dope as it was to hear these two together again, it's somewhat bittersweet knowing what we could have had if Mega had never been kicked from the firm. Of course, there's nothing wrong with his replacement Nature, who you may know from his role in the Noriega Posse Cut band from TV, alongside Cameron, Big Pun, as well as both Styles and Jadakiss of the Lox. But in my opinion, when you compare his pen to this dude's, there's really no contest, and I wouldn't call that any sort of diss, considering there's literally hundreds of MCs who the same could be said for. It's really just a testament to how witty and dense Cormega could get with his material. The production is definitely a huge plus side here, because the instrumentals manage to walk this tightrope where they still sound like they could have dominated in the 90s, yet they still embrace some of the newer ideas that were beginning to take over through the Rockefeller era. And I think the fact that he chose to occasionally dip into that soulful Just Blaze production, instead of attempting to tackle crunk music like some of his contemporaries, really helped with this album's shelf life. Cormega is definitely a rapper's rapper, to the point where I could have chosen any verse of his to share from here, but I think I'm gonna have to use the iconic track American Beauty, since I just love the way our MC flows and paints a picture over this grimy yet infectious old school bass line. This is also a memorable moment because of how it seemingly pulls inspiration from Common's legendary joint, I Used to Love Her, as in both tracks the artist tells a story of hip-hop where it's personified as a woman, though instead of her traveling all across the country like in Common's version, here for the most part Mega is detailing how the genre spread across New York, and he gives the idea a totally different spin and energy. I'm not going to share the entire thing since he basically just has one big long verse for this track, but either way, he kicks off his timeless opening set of bars rapping, "Yo, it's nighttime, I can't sleep, my pen's begging me to write rhymes. Stories of felonies despite time. I embrace the urge on the tip of my tongue, I taste the words, a story is born, my glorious song, hip-hop cannot ignore me for long. I know her last man abused her, I can't refuse her. A lot of rappers use her, treat her like shit, even confuse her. She had class, now she's selling it all for cash. When Marley had her, her face was more pure, body fatter. Primo treated her good, made her the queen in my hood. She used to be out in Queens with DMC, and then the rooftop with Big Fritz and RP, she was fly, she kept her shit tight. Yo, if he didn't go to jail, son, she might have been Slick Rick's wife. Disappeared a few years, she was stranded on death row. Dre had her on another level in the West Coast. While the Realness gives us just about everything from heartfelt tributes to friends that passed on, to artfully constructed rhymes and flow patterns that keep you on the edge of your seat, it's about time I get into the featured artists that showed up on this thing, and this time around that includes a small but respectable roster, consisting of Tragedy Gaddafi and Mobb Deep. As for the top tier beats, those were a collaborative effort between J Love, Havoc, Big Ty, J Supreme, Spank Brother, Ayatollah, Shaw Money XL, The Alchemist, Godfather Don, Spunk Bigga, and Cormega himself. When it comes to my top 3 favorites on this one, I think I'd have to leave out American Beauty since I already discussed it, and instead opt for songs like Dramatic Entrance, Fallen Soldiers Remix, and They Forced My Hand. Then for my honorable mentions that didn't quite make that top 3, I still definitely want to recommend tracks like Thun and Kiko, Unforgiven, The Saga, Glory Days, Fallen Soldiers, and Are You Mine? Thank you for watching my 402nd video. Next time we are discussing a kind of flagship artist for the Rhymesayers label, so check in for that new face, and if you enjoyed, be sure to like, subscribe, and let me know what your favorite moments off this forward-thinking and heady approach to hip-hop are. Don't forget to have a great day, and I'll see you next time, okay? Alright.